Hello, hello, everybody. Michael Hellickson here with Club Wealth, and today we are talking about why 87% of all real estate agents fail in the first 5 years. So check it out. We're going to do some screen sharing today. We're going to mix it up a little bit. There's a lot of fun stuff. I'm going to try a little bit of new technology here, see if my Surface Pro does what I want it to do. And so sometimes you'll be seeing me, sometimes you're going to be seeing my slide deck. But I spent quite a bit of time preparing for today because I wanted to get this information to you in as concise a manner as possible. And there's a lot that we need to cover. It's very important. So let's get started. So first and foremost, here we go. Let's get to my slide deck. Hopefully you guys can see that. Let me know if you guys are able to see that slide deck okay. And there we go. Now you should be able to see it. Hang on. Boom. All right, let's go ahead and we're going to pause that camera. Get that slide deck opened up for you. There we go. Okay, so here we go. So we're talking about why 87% of all agents fail in the first 5 years of selling real estate. This is important information. I want you guys to pay very close attention throughout today as we go through it. So here we go. The reality is that you've got to earn a living. Every agent's got to earn a living, and everybody's got a different price point that they've got to meet in order to satisfy their needs. So let's talk about that. What does that look like? Well, first, let's begin with the end in mind. So to begin with the end in mind, you've got to ask yourself, what is my nut? And what that means is, what does it cost me to pay my bills each and every month? Then you've got to ask, what does it take for, or what do I have for outside income? So how much money do I have coming in from other sources? Do I have a spouse that works? Do I have child support coming in, alimony, anything like that? What does it cost me to pay my bills, and what do I have for additional income? Then what do I need to come out of real estate to make this work? So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. So let's say my monthly nut is $10,000. Oops, hold on. It's not going to let me write that in there. All right, so if my monthly nut is $10,000 and my outside income is $4,000, that means I need $6,000 to come from real estate in order to pay my bills. So if my average commission is, say, $3,000, I've got to do 2 transactions a month to make this work. Well, at 2 transactions a month, at $3,000 a transaction, that's $6,000, I'm going to need to make sure that I also have enough to pay my taxes. So I really need to raise that up to about 3 transactions. We're going to round up to 3 transactions a month, because one of the big mistakes that a lot of agents make is they forget that, oh, by the way, I got to pay my taxes. So we really want to make sure that we're able to pay our taxes. That's super important. All right. So now let's say that I've got enough to pay my taxes, and I've decided, hey, wait a minute, I want to be on a team. Maybe I don't want to be the Lone Ranger. Well, if I'm going to be on a team, then not only do I need to have enough to pay my taxes. Wow, this is really weird how this is showing up on here, you guys. I apologize for that. We're going to go ahead and turn that off. So here's the thing. If I'm going to be on a team, chances are I'm going to end up doing 2 to 3 times as many transactions. Generally speaking, on a team, I should easily be able to do 3 times as many transactions as I would if I was the Lone Ranger. Now, if I'm on a 50-50 split, I'm going to be giving up 50% of that, which still gives me a net increase in income at the end of the year, working the same or less hours, and I'm not responsible for all that overhead. So for those of you that are on a team or considering being on a team, I'm a huge advocate of that. What I want you to do, though, is I want you to make sure you plan for that in your numbers. So why do most of these, hold on, am I the only one? I see Arthur Livesey's having trouble hearing me here. By the way, is anybody else having trouble hearing me? Type into your screen right now if you can hear me or not. So here's the thing. I got to make sure that I've got enough to pay my taxes. It's too frequent that I hear from agents that say, oh my gosh, I'm not able to pay my taxes. I've got this huge tax bill that just came up. It was a surprise. What do I do? Well, guess what? What you do is you start by setting aside 25% a month, no matter what, every month to pay your taxes. This is really, really important, and it's something that a lot of agents aren't doing. All right, so once I've got this figured out, I'm going to know the number of units that I have to close each and every month in order to make the kind of living that I want to make and be able to pay at the bare minimum my expenses. Now, some of you are saying, well, what if I want to make more than just enough to pay my expenses? That's fine. I get that, and I want you to make a lot more than you need to just pay your expenses. But for a lot of agents, they forget that at least at the bare minimum, I've got to make that nut every month. All right, so let's keep going. Some of the problems that agents have. 1, ADD, right? And agents all across the country, myself included, have ADD. Now, there's definitely some agents out there that don't have ADD, but the reality is Not very many. Most of us, especially the really great ones, generally have ADD. Well, that ADD is a blessing and a curse. So one of the problems is that there's too many shiny objects out there. And when you have ADD, shiny objects are a lot of fun, right? So I want to chase after all these shiny objects like that dog on the movie Up. Well, guess what? That's not a good thing. We got to make sure we limit the shiny object time. Part of this also comes down to magic pill syndrome. The magic pill syndrome is everybody's, or not, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of agents think that, well, if I just bought this platform, if I just had that lead source, or if I just had this technology, or if I just had that script, or, oh my gosh, this particular guru just came out and said this product was greater, that I should be doing this thing. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that don't even produce or haven't sold real estate. In fact, a lot of them would be gurus themselves and are considered gurus by many, but they've never even sold real estate. And yet here we have a lot of agents that will listen to the advice of people that have never been where they're trying to go. And unfortunately, that advice oftentimes leads us astray. So one, I want you to be very, very guarded about who you take advice from. Be very careful that they are at least doing the kind of production that you want to do and that they have had that success previously in life. Think of it this way. If I want to climb Mount Everest, I need a guide that's been there, right? So try not to take advice from people that have never done what it is you're trying to do. All right, next, overestimating short-term ability to succeed. A lot of agents think, oh my gosh, I'm going to jump into real estate. I'm going to make all this money right away. Well, guess what? That's not the reality. The reality is that it's harder than you think to make money, especially in the beginning. And interestingly, it's easier to make money long-term than people realize. They oftentimes underestimate their long-term ability to succeed. Now, again, if you need to succeed short-term, if short-term income is a challenge for you, then one of the things you should consider is joining a team. Now, this isn't a big pitch for you to become a member of one of our expansion teams. That being said, if you're interested, certainly we'd be happy to talk with you about becoming a part of one of our expansion teams. But really, I'm just trying to illustrate that teams are taking over the industry in a big, big way. And that number, that 87% of the agents out there that fail in the first 5 years, that's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger for the agents that don't join a team when they first get into real estate. There's so many advantages to join a team I can't even begin to describe. Let's just start with training. When you're on a team, you're going to get a high level of training. You're going to get accountability. You're going to get leads handed to you. You're going to have back-end systems, supports. You're going to have structure. You're going to have an ecosystem of people there to help you succeed and that are intimately involved with you on a daily basis in that success. So if I were a new agent today, there's no question, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to seek out the right team to join. All right, that being said, also you need to remember that you have way greater potential to succeed long-term than you probably realize. So here's some more problems. Let's talk about general mindset and belief system deficiencies. Right now in real estate, there are a lot of people that have a limiting belief system. They don't believe that they can succeed at the highest level. Well, why not? What is it that they think is going to keep them from succeeding at a higher level? You know, I really don't know. It could be a lot of things. Sometimes it's the way they grew up. Sometimes it's the people around them. They surround themselves with moderate producers, and so they think that that's the best they can do. And so what I'm wondering is, at the end of the day, why can't you think bigger? What do you need to do to open your mind to really think bigger and know that you can accomplish whatever you want to accomplish if you'll set your mind to it and work hard enough for it? But you alone are going to determine what that limit is. Don't allow anyone else to limit you in any way, shape, or form. So we got to get our minds straight. We got to understand that success demands work. This is something that a lot of people don't remember. Success demands work. And you know what? I get it. Long term, you know, people look at me and they say, well, Michael, you made $450,000 a month working just 12 days a month. Well, yeah, but I spent 20 years getting to that point. I worked very, very hard, particularly in the first 5 years, to get to the point where I could make that kind of money working less days. So you've got to understand that you absolutely need to spend a lot of time, effort, and energy, particularly in the beginning, growing your business. All right, stop listening to negative people. This is a big one. I've literally, and God bless them, I love my folks. I want you to know, there was a period of time when I was new in the business. I was 18 years old, And my mother and father were wonderful people, worked very, very hard to give me a great life and to provide me with opportunities that they didn't have. And here I go, I get into real estate while I was in high school, right? So I was the top agent in my office before I graduated high school. Well, here's the crazy thing. All that meant was I was less broke than the rest of the agents. And so, I mean, as great as it sounds that I was the top agent, I was broke. And my parents knew that, and literally they started telling me, hey, Michael, why don't you go get a job at McDonald's? And over and over and over again, every time I talked to them, they would say, why don't you go get a job at McDonald's? And I got to tell you, that was a real challenge for me, and it really affected my mindset. And so what I finally had to do, and literally I asked them over and over again to stop saying those things, and they just couldn't help themselves. They continued to tell me, Michael, you need to get a job at McDonald's. You'd be making more money than you are now. And the scary thing is, it's true, I would have. But at the end of the day, I wasn't going to hear it. And so I finally said to them, I can't talk to you right now. I need a break. So I'll tell you what, please don't reach out to me. Don't call me. Don't contact me. Because literally every single time I talked to them, it was negative, negative, negative. And I literally went, and I'm ashamed in a way to admit this, but it was necessary for my personal growth and development. I literally went 10 months without speaking to my parents, because literally I could not have a phone call with them without them programming me with negativity during that time. And I will tell you that that experience taught me the importance of tuning out negative people in your life so that you can focus on being positive. Well, guess what? I obviously became a great success after that. I got my career back on track, and things went very, very well. And subsequent to that, I was able to rebuild those relationships and bonds with my folks. And now they don't say things like, you can't do it. They say things like, you did it. I can't believe it. I'm impressed. How did you do it? And so, very exciting stuff. All right. Affirmations. Affirmations are very important, but what's interesting is the 87% of the people that fail in this business, most of them don't do affirmations. Why? Well, it could be a lot of reasons. They don't believe it works. Maybe they're embarrassed. Maybe they think it's silly. Heck, I see some even bigger producers from time to time that could really up their game if they would realize the power of affirmations. And especially when you take those affirmations a step further and create what are called incantations. Incantations are essentially affirmations with body motion. So you've got to understand that affirmations work, and if you will repeat them on a daily basis and program your brain with positive things, then guess what? You will change your mindset. Your mind, remember, your subconscious mind can't tell the difference between reality and what we tell it to believe. So if I'm constantly telling myself, hey man, you're an awesome real estate agent. You're killing it. You are going to get this listing. You're going to get it at your price. You're going to get it at your term. You're going to get it for the commission that you want. If I'm constantly telling myself that I'm going to accomplish these things, eventually my brain begins to believe it. And all of a sudden I go out and I accomplish exactly that. All right, listen to positive things. GIGO. What does GIGO mean? Garbage in, garbage out. Listen, your brain is a constant recorder. It's a recording device that never shuts off. And no matter what, whether it's good stuff or bad stuff, everything you see, hear, touch, feel, experience, all of that goes into your brain and it stays there. It is there forever, and there's nothing you can do to erase it. And believe me, there are some things in life that you just can't unsee, right? I know you know what I'm talking about. There are some things that you'd love to unsee. Unfortunately, they're in there forever. So be very protective about what you program your brain with. And that's, again, a part of where these 87% of the agents out there that fail in the first 5 years, unfortunately, they go into the office and they listen to everybody because everybody's got an opinion, and they get sidetracked on all these different things. And then, worse yet, as they're standing around the coffee, the coffee table or the water cooler, what they're hearing is people saying, "Oh, buyers are liars and sellers are worse." Well, that's not true, first of all. Second of all, why in the world would you allow yourself to be programmed with that kind of negativity? Please do not allow that kind of negativity into your world. All it's doing is causing you to develop a negative mindset, which is going to impact your ability to survive in this business. All right. So remember, what you can conceive and believe, you can achieve. This is straight up Napoleon Hill, you guys. If I can conceive it, that means if I can think it in my mind, if I can really picture it in my mind, and then I can believe it, that means I can really believe that it's possible for me to achieve that, it's possible for me to make that happen, then I can actually achieve it. But first I have to conceive it, then I have to believe it myself, and then I can only then go out and actually achieve it. So start, again, programming your brain for success. Now, here's another one of the big problems that is out there. We've got these professional learners out there. Now, don't get me wrong. It's great that you're on this webinar. It's great that you're watching this video. It's great that you come to our events and that you learn and that you experience the great information that we share. That being said, understand that you don't need to go to everybody's event. You don't need to go to every webinar. You don't need to be on every single thing out there. What you need to do is be protective about the information that comes into your mind, and you need to focus on that information, and you need to go in a direction. What I don't want you to do is try and go in every direction. Professional learners are the agents that literally spend more time learning than they do doing. And what that's like, learning without implementation is like rowing with one oar in the water. And when you row with one oar in the water, what happens? You go in circles. That's it. Well, guess what? Let's stop going in circles, because the people that go in circles, they end up becoming a part of that 87%. So make sure that we are constantly implementing the things that we're learning. A lot of people are also, a lot of these agents are spending way too much time getting ready to get ready. Stop getting ready to get ready and start getting out there and doing. This is the formula right here. It's ready, fire, aim. Unfortunately, a lot of agents are ready, 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 aim, 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 and they never fire. You guys, freaking fire the gun. Just wave it around and start shooting it. Something will get hit. I mean, come on, you got to do something. The problem is, if you don't take action, nothing will happen. But what's interesting is the people that take massive action on a regular basis, guess what? Stuff happens for them. So take massive action on a daily basis. All right. Now, the number one reason why agents fail, here it is. You ready for this? Number one reason why agents fail: bad habits or lack of good habits. Think about this. These agents, they show up at the office whenever they can, right? They might show up at 10, 11, noon, right? Depends on, if I'm in San Diego, it depends on if the surf's up, right? I mean, seriously, it cracks me up that people literally have issues showing up on time. Well, guess what? You need to pick a time that you're going to show up for the office, and you need to show up at that time every day. So what does that look like? Well, we're going to talk about that in a second. But here's the thing. Once you finally arrive, are you one of those agents that finds every excuse not to work? Because a lot of them do. They show up to the office and they find all kinds of other stuff they can do besides actual work. Don't be that agent. If you want to be in the 87%, then be that agent. But if you want to be in the 13% that will make it past that first 5 years, then guess what? You got to stop finding excuses for work and get to doing actual work. I mean, think about this. If you had a boss, would they give you a raise or would they fire you? That's a tough question, right? And for some of us, the answer might be, well, gosh, I don't have a boss because I don't want to work for a boss. And maybe for others, it's, well, I don't have a boss because nobody will hire me. Well, why won't anybody hire you? Do you think your work ethic and your work habits might have something to do with that? Look, there's no excuses in this business. The business, the results don't lie. If you're working hard and if you're doing the things on a daily basis that it takes to succeed, your bank account will reflect that. If your bank account doesn't reflect someone that's working hard and that's putting, and let me back up. Some of you are working very, very hard right now and your bank accounts aren't reflecting the hard work that you're putting in. I get that. But understand that when we develop the right habits and we're doing the right things, not just working hard, but working smart at the same time, when we're doing those right things, and we're working hard, and we've developed those good habits, our bank accounts will reflect as such. All right, so let me ask you another question. Would you hire you? I don't know. That's a good one, right? I mean, because think about this. If you wouldn't hire you, why should Mr. or Mrs. Seller hire you? And I'm not just talking about would you hire you to sell your house. Would you hire you for a 9-to-5 job? And if your answer is no, well, guess what? We need to take a look at those work habits. All right. How about this? Busy work is not the same as dollar productive work. It's really easy to get in there and just do a bunch of work. You know, I'm showing up at the office, I'm on Facebook, I'm commenting, I'm replying to people, I'm reaching out to people on Facebook, and oh my gosh, then I go to the Brokers Open and I get a free lunch at the Brokers Open, but I met a lot of agents there. How cool is that? Well, you know, that stuff doesn't pay the freaking bills. Unless you're a broker recruiting those agents at that Brokers Open, what are you doing there? Seriously, like, you got to ask yourself, if I looked at my week this week, if I tracked every single thing I did every single day, and I literally just went down through my day hour by hour at the end of each day and wrote down what I did every hour, how many of those hours were productive, what we call dollar productive hours, that lead directly to a listing or a sale? And here's what we have found, because we've done this test with agents all over the country, and what we found is that the vast majority of agents, when we do this test with them, we have them track their what they've done every day. For 2 weeks, we have them track it, and here's what we find almost every time: that they have less. This is scary. They have less than 7 hours per week of actual dollar productive activities. And they wonder why they're broke. They wonder why they're part of the 87%. I got news for you. You're part of the 87% because you're not doing productive things during the day. Now, I'm not saying that you have to make cold calls or expired calls or anything like that, although those are great things that you can do, and they do work. You know, there's a point at which in your career you're going to realize that those are limiting things. You can only do so many calls per day, right? But you do need to have dollar productive activities. We'll talk more about what those are in a little bit. All right, so the other thing is they're firemen or firewomen. What do I mean by firemen and firewomen? Firemen and firewomen are people that they say, okay, I'm going to start my day at 7 o'clock, and I was going to draw this on the board for you, and I apologize, I'm not able to draw this in the video here. For some reason, it's not working for us, but let's see if I can do this one more time. I'm going to try this one other way. Let's do this one right here. All right, so check it out. So they say they're going to start the day over here, right? And they're going to go, oh, look at this. But by the way, they don't ever start at 7:30. What they usually start at is they come in, let's say they come in at the crack of noon or somewhere in that, or thereabouts. They get going and they figure, okay, here's where my day is going to start, and I'm going to do these activities, and I'm going to get to this finish line over here. But that's not what their day really looks like. What their day really looks like is they start here, they get going, and then they get sidetracked. Oh, look at this. I got a fire I got to put out. I got somebody upset. I got a seller needs my help. I got something going on, and now I've got to get over there and I got to work with them. Then they say, okay, well, now I'm going to get back on track. Okay, cool. So they're back on track for 4 or 5 minutes. And then it's, oh, I got an email. Got to check my email. And then it's, oh, I got to get back on track. And they come back on track. And then they say, oh, now I got another client calling me, so I got to talk to them. And it just does this all through the day. And eventually their day starts to look like this, and it gets really super crazy. Well, let me tell you, when you start to get to your days where it's looking like that, and hopefully you end at this point, some of them don't end at that point. A lot of these people that have the crazy day, they don't end until they get way out here. So here's what I want you to do. What I want you to do is understand that you've got to show up in the morning, and you've got to start by time blocking your day. So I literally want you to come in, and I want you to time block this period of time right here. Show up at 7:30 in the morning, first of all. There's no excuse for showing up late. Now, if you have kids that need to get to school, I get it. So maybe you're a parent that's got to drop their kids off, so you're going to drop them off at maybe 8:30 in the morning. Fine. Then you get in the office at 9 o'clock. But whatever it is, pick that time that you're going to get into the office every single day and stick to it. Once you can stick to that, you can time block that time. So you can say, okay, during 7:30 to 8, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be getting ready for the day, getting ready for my prospecting or whatever I'm going to do. From 8 to 9, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make my FSBO and expired calls. Maybe that's what goes here. Or maybe I'm going to call follow-up calls during this period of time. And then during this period of time, I'm going to make my sphere of influence calls. And, you know, so you literally just go through and time block your day. And we're going to teach you how to do this when you go to clubwealth.com/PDS. That's PDS as in Perfect Daily Schedule. Here, I'll even write that on here. PDS, Perfect Daily Schedule. So what you want to do is you want to go to clubwealth.com/PDS, watch the video on how to create your perfect daily schedule. But you've got to understand, you've got to quit being a fireman or firewoman, because you know what? When you're running around letting everybody else dictate what you do every day, you are virtually guaranteeing that you're going to end up in that 87%. What we want is we want to end up in the 13%. So we're not going to go too deep into that today. I just want you to know that you've got to develop habits that force you to succeed, because guess what? The right habits will create success. habits, whether they're good or bad, are going to dictate our results. If we have bad habits, we're going to get bad results. If we have good habits, we're going to get good results. Give you an example. I'm out of shape. I am not in the best shape of my life. And let me tell you, there's a reason for it, because my health habits, frankly, suck, right? I mean, what do you need to do if you want to be in shape? You got to eat right and exercise. Well, guess what? I work 24/7 lately because I'm building a big coaching company, and I've got a lot of that going on. So I'm working a lot more than I should be. And oh, by the way, that means I'm not working out. And you know what? I kind of like donuts. So I'm not working out, I'm not eating right, and what happens? The results show. I'm ballooning up. I look like a freaking blimp. It's like a football on toothpicks running around. I don't know. Anyway, listen, the bottom line is you guys got to develop good habits in your business, because if you don't, you're going to get bad results. So again, go to clubwealth.com/PDS. Watch that video, and we'll walk you through how to create that perfect daily schedule. All right, so that's the number one reason why agents fail. But you know what? There's a lot more. So let's make it simple. How can I succeed? Oh, look at this. We've got to get that off our screen. I wonder how I can do that. Erase all drawings. There we go. All right, they're gone. So check it out. If I want to make this super simple, I want to first start with lead generation. 90% of your day needs to be spent on these three things. Number one is lead generation. If you don't lead generate on a daily basis, you don't have a business. Now, I would venture to guess that if you were brand new in the business, you could spend literally, you could just treat it like a part-time job, right? Just spend 4 hours a day prospecting or doing some kind of lead generation, and you're going to see success in your business. Now, some of you are thinking, oh my gosh, I can't possibly make phone calls for 4 hours a day. Cool. Could you give me an hour a day? I mean, an hour a day would be more than most of the agents out there are currently doing. So could you just do that? Could you start with an hour? And then when you get good at doing an hour, could you maybe up it to 2 hours? And then at some point, could you, maybe get to 3? Just don't try and conquer it all at once. Take it in baby steps, but understand you have got to lead generate. Now, again, that doesn't mean you have to call FSBOs and expireds. There's a lot of other things you can do, and I'm going to show you some great lead generation techniques in just a moment. The next thing that you have to do every single day, no matter what, is the place that most agents fail the biggest. This is where most agents, and I'm talking at all levels, I don't care if you're brand new in the business or been in the business for 20 years and are crushing it at a high level, chances are this area in your business needs improvement, and that's lead follow-up. Let me tell you, lead follow-up is massive. You have to nail this. And this is one of those 3 things that has to be done every single day, no matter what. The third one is, let's say I've got all these leads. I brought a bunch of leads in, and let's say I'm doing a great job on my lead follow-up. Now I've got to convert them. I've got to get them to convert into either an appointment or an actual transaction. And this, again, is one of the areas that agents have a hard time with. So I'm going to show you how to do all 3 of these right now. All right, so let's talk about lead generation first. So first and foremost, understand that 61% of the average agent's business comes from their sphere of influence. So what does that mean? That's repeat referral business, mom, dad, brother, sister, cousin, people you went to school with. Everybody that you know in your life is a part of your sphere of influence. Most people have about 250 people in their sphere of influence. So how can you make money? How can you generate leads out of your sphere of influence without being that guy that everybody's like, oh my gosh, here he comes again. Is it Amway this time? Is it Melaleuca? Oh, nope, it's real estate. Look out, he's coming at us with real estate today. I mean, you guys got to understand, we don't want to create animosity between us and our sphere of influence by sounding like a schmuck that just wants to sell them stuff. Well, I'll give you an example. You want to sound like a schmuck? Call every single person you know and say, oh, by the way, if you were thinking of buying or selling a home or had a friend or family member who was, do you have a realtor you'd refer them to? Are you kidding me? If you called me up and said that every single time you called me, I would start to think you're very self-serving, and I would not take your calls. Stop doing that. Now, is it okay to ask that once? Maybe, but you've got to do it at the right time, and you can't do it until you have given them more than you're receiving. It's give, ask, receive. That's the formula. All right. So my sphere of influence is going to be 61% of my business if I'm the average agent out there. If I'm a new agent, it's probably even higher. So how can I get more business out of them? Well, first and foremost, I want you to start doing client events. You need to do 4 client events per year. Minimum of 4 clients, or I'm sorry, maximum. It's 4 is just the right number. Do 4. That gives you a client event every 3 months. Now, by having a client event every 3 months, you always have a reason to call them. You're either calling them to invite them to an event, or you're calling them to thank them for coming to an event, or to say, hey, we missed you at the event. But either way, it gives you an excuse to call people in your sphere of influence on a regular basis that is not self-serving, that is very genuine, and that shows them that you care more about them than you do about their pocketbook and getting into their pocketbook. So do some client events, and they don't have to be fancy. I look at Christy Lundy, who's one of our coaches in San Diego, California. When she did her very first client event, she did a happy hour. Now, I'm not a drinker. You guys know that, and I'm not saying she's a big drinker either, but she chose to have this happy hour, which is probably not what I would do, but it worked well for her. Here's what she did. She ended up spent $250. She rented out this brewery. Didn't even really rent it out. She just had this brewery know that she was going to pick up the tab for all these people. It cost her $250. She went through, she followed the checklist, and if you go to clubwealth.com/blog and you scroll down, you can just look through our blog post. There's a blog post on how to do client appreciation events. It's awesome. You got to watch that blog post and download the checklist in that blog post, because the checklist in that blog post shows you exactly what to do to market your client events. Well, Christy followed that checklist exactly, and when she followed that checklist, she literally got 5 transactions out of that one client event. Here's what's crazy. She got those 5 transactions, but only one of the 5 people actually showed up to the event. That means 4 out of the 5 people that she did business with because of the event didn't even come to the event. Well, how's that possible? Because she got their business when she made the phone call to invite them to the event. And they simply said, oh my gosh, Christy, thank you so much for calling us. It's amazing you called us. We were just thinking about selling our house, or we were just thinking about buying a house. So the client events are huge, and that is the single best thing you can do in terms of growing your sphere of influence business. Now, there's a couple other things that are very important as well. You got to call them. Making those calls is very, very important. Also, you got to send them a personal note once in a while. This is very simple. For example, if I hold the client event and I've got 40 people that come out, you know what? I'm going to spend the next day, I'm just going to grab 40 personal notes, and I'm going to write each and every one of them a handwritten personal note. Now, there's a system for this. I want you to follow this. Write this down. Hopefully, you guys are taking good notes. I want you to make sure you use blue ink, broad tip pen, 3 to 5 lines, and use a unique close at the end. Never say sincerely or respectfully or anything else that sounds overly professional. Use something that's unique to you. For me, for example, I would say something like, you are world class, which, by the way, I believe everybody's world class. At least inside, I believe everybody has a world class person dying to come out. You just got to unleash that beast. We'll talk about that another time. So personal notes are a very big deal. You want to get out of that 87% and get into the 13%? Start writing some personal notes. Show people you actually care. All right, pop buys. Here's an important one. Pop buys is when you drop by somebody's house, or you pop by somebody's house and you leave them something of value. You have a quick conversation with them. You don't even have to go into their house. You literally do this from the front porch. But here's what I want you to understand. This is very important. If you're in Tier 2 or higher, Tier 2 essentially means you're making at least $150,000 a year and doing at least 25 transactions a year. If you're at that level in your business, you probably don't have time to do pop buys. So I want you to understand, if I'm in Tier 1 and I have more time than money, then it's probably a good idea for me to consider doing some pop buys. If, however, I'm in Tier 2 or higher and I have more money than time, I'm probably not going to implement the pop buy technique. So again, these are all techniques we'll teach you at a deeper level as you're in coaching, and as you can work with us on your coach. We have Trello cards or systems for all of these things I'm talking with you about. And what I want you to do on this call, or in this webinar, or in this video that you're watching, just pick the one thing that you want to implement and reach out to your coach and get that system from the coach. And we will share with you exactly what that checklist is that you need to follow to implement that at a high level. All right, here we go. Social media. Social media is huge. One of the very first things you've got to do is you've got to reach out to every single person in your sphere of influence, and you got to friend them on Facebook. I cannot say this enough times. Oh, but Michael, but I keep my business and my personal separate on Facebook. I don't share my personal stuff in social media. Well, you know what? Good for you. I hope you enjoy being broke, because it's going to be a long-term thing for you. So here's the deal. Seriously, you got to get over this, all right? If you want to get out of the 87%, you got to become transparent with people. Here's the thing. Your sphere of influence needs to get to know, like, and trust you. Write that down. They have to know, like, and trust you in order for them to do business with you. If they don't know, like, and trust you, they're going to find somebody else that they do know, like, and trust to do business with. So friend them on Facebook. I cannot say that enough time. Then when you post stuff, make sure that 80% of your posts are personal in nature and only 20% are business related. Now, you're going to need a personal page and a business page, but I want you to make sure that your personal page is following that 80-20 rule. On your business page, it's 100% business. Really, the only reason you have a business page is so that you can run ads. Running ads is very important as well. But ads without the regular posts are less effective. You'll get much better traction on your ads if you're consistently posting and engaging with people on social media. Remember, it's called social media, okay? It's called social media for a reason, because it's social, and that means you don't hire somebody to do all of your social media for you. Now, can I hire a company like Viral Marketing, for example, to do all of my Facebook ads? Absolutely, and they do a fantastic job of it. Shout out to my buddy Frank over there at Viral Marketing. Love you, brother. You guys do an awesome job. And could, you know, if you're in tier 2 or higher, if you're in tier 1, you know, that might be out of your price range. But if I'm in tier 2 or higher and I want to get somebody that can really do a great job of running Facebook ads for me, and not just Facebook ads, but also managing a complete email marketing strategy for me. And by the way, email does still work. By the way, testament to that, you're on this webinar, and my hunch is you got here because of an email. And we had hundreds of people get here because of a freaking email. So guess what? Email marketing still works. And guess who helps me with mine? Frank at Viral. So anyway, shout out to those guys. Love those guys. But here's the thing. You're going to want to run Facebook ads. And when you do a lot of regular social posting that is engaging and fun and people like your stuff and they comment on your stuff, they'll see more of your ads, so you'll get bigger bang for your buck. All right, Facebook groups. This is another big one. If you don't already, I want you to go in and I want you to go into Facebook, and I want you to open up and search for the Club Wealth Real Estate Agent Mastermind Group. Again, that's Club Wealth Real Estate Agent Mastermind Group. And I want you to request to join that group. There's a lot of great information in there, and it's free. Now, there's other ways that you can use groups to your advantage. I actually want you to go into other unique groups, like let's say you belong to a polo club, or maybe you like bowling and there's a bowling group on Facebook, or maybe you are into gardening and you've got this gardening group. Well, guess what? These are great ways for you to get business. Buy-sell groups are great. Garage sale groups are great. So how are you going to get business out of these groups? Well, let me start by telling you the 87% of agents, guess what they do? They go into these groups and they say, look at me, I'm a real estate agent, and hey, wouldn't you love to work with me? And here's one of my listings, and here's my open house. And everybody just tunes that out. They're like, dude, you quit being obnoxious in this group. Nobody cares about your open house. But now, if you will instead go into the group and bring value, and you'll talk to people about things that are interesting to that group. For example, if I'm in a gardening group, I'm going to talk to people about gardening. I'm going to talk to them about my garden, their garden. I'm going to help them with their challenges they're experiencing, all that kind of stuff. And then at some point, what I might do is I might take a picture of me holding a dead plant. And I might say something like, man, it's a good thing I'm a great real estate agent because I suck at gardening. Could you help me figure out what I did to kill this plant? I mean, did I overwater it? Did I underwater it? You know, how did I kill this plant? I really need your help. Now, do you think that would get engagement? Of course it would get engagement. And now, as they're engaging with you, more and more people are also seeing that you're a real estate agent. And you'll get people reaching out to you saying, hey, I see that you're a real estate agent. We're thinking of selling our home. Could you help me? You know, that kind of thing works better than you can imagine, but you got to be coming from contribution at all times. Very important. All right, here's another one. People laugh at me for this, and they think I'm crazy when I say this, but Craigslist. Craigslist works. I don't care what anybody else out there says. We have clients right now that are literally getting 5 to 15 buyer leads and seller leads a day, per day, for free from Craigslist. So don't tell me it doesn't work unless you've done it. And don't tell me, oh, well, I put an ad in Facebook once and I got nothing out of it. Well, okay, that's like saying, well, I went fishing once and I didn't catch anything. Well, no kidding. First of all, you probably suck at fishing. Second of all, you haven't taken the time to learn from somebody that knows how to fish. And third, you haven't done it enough. You got to do it consistently so you get really good at it. And then you'll start getting those results. But Craigslist works. It's a great medium for free leads. One of the tools that we like, if you go to clubwealth.l2leads.com, clubwealth.l2leads.com, this is a fantastic lead source. It's $25 a month. It's crazy cheap, and just about everybody can afford this. If I'm in tier 1 right now and I really need a lead source that I can start bringing stuff in right now so I don't end up being in that 87%, guess what? I'm starting with clubwealth.com clubwealth.l2leads.com. And what that's going to do is they do all kinds of stuff. They do automatic Craigslist posting. They do landing pages for you so you can run Facebook ads to landing pages, all kinds of stuff. These guys have a great system, and it's incredible bang for the buck. So shout out to Scott Pierce over there at Listings to Leads. Good stuff. All right, mega open houses. Here's another one. This is huge. How would you like to get 50 to 150 people to your next open house? See, my hunch is that a lot of you are thinking, well, Michael, open houses don't work. Well, that's because you're getting 5, 10, 15 people out to an open house, and you're wasting a lot of time not getting any traction with those people that come out because you don't know how to do it right. Listen, 87% of the agents out there don't hold open houses regularly. I can tell you that we have clients that have literally made $650,000 in 1 year almost entirely from open houses. So guess what you got to do? You got to get in there and you got to start holding some open houses, but you got to do it right. So how do I find out? Go to clubwealth.com/blog. Write that down, clubwealth.com/blog, and go to the Massive Open House blog. It's actually called Massive Open Houses. Go click on that blog, watch the video, download the free checklist. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Download the free checklist and follow the checklist. I'm going to tell you about somebody that did this. One of our clients in Colorado, Mr. Ewan Graham. Wonderful human being. Ewan followed this strategy. All he did was he went in, he downloaded the checklist, he followed it verbatim, did everything it said in the checklist. He got 86 people out to his very first open house. Out of those 86 people, he literally sold 3 buyers' homes, and he got 2 listings out of that one open house. That's 5 transactions, and oh, by the way, his average sale or his average commission is between $8,000 and $12,000. This guy is making a ton of money on an open house. That's one open house. That's one open house, and it cost him less than $100 to do it. So you guys, it works, but you have to work it, or you're going to end up being in that 87%. Don't be a part of that. Now, as I'm throwing all of this out there, some of you are probably getting a little overwhelmed already. Relax. It's okay. You don't have to do all of this all at once. But I want you to start implementing this one thing at a time, get good at one of these lead generation strategies, and then add the next one. Ideally, you're going to add a new lead generation strategy every 3 months. That's 4 new lead gen strategies every year. The first one that most of you should start with, and obviously this is dependent on whether you have a large sphere of influence in the area or not, but for most of you, you're going to start with your sphere of influence, and you're going to move to these other things. That being said, the open house strategy, it is powerful. So make sure you go to that blog and watch the video on how to do that. Expireds, for sale by owners, Make Me Moves, Zillow Make Me Moves. These are all people that have raised their hand and said, hello, I have a house and I want to sell it. Well, guess what? If they have a house and they want to sell it, they're probably going to sell it through an agent at some point. So these are a great source of business. Again, it takes work. Oh, but Michael, in my market, you know, if the day a property expires, there's 40 agents that call on that expired listing. Well, that's awesome, because instead of competing with the 8 or 10,000 or 20,000 agents in your marketplace, now what you're saying is you only have to compete against 40? That's awesome. I've limited the field right there. So now I'm only competing against 40 people. So if I'm just mediocre, I should at least get 1 out of 40 of these if I can go on 40 listing appointments, and that's if I really suck at this, right? But you're not going to suck at this. Why? Because you're going to learn to do it right, because you're going to watch our videos and you're going to come to our classes on how to be a rock star at sales. You're going to let me teach you how to improve your sales skills so that over the phone and face-to-face, you convert more people. So make sure you get into coaching and make sure you allow us to help you with that. And you won't be 1 out of 40. You should literally be hitting, if you're a listing agent, you should literally be able to do, Tammy, that's funny. Tammy's like, I love your energy. You crack me up. Well, you know, it's true though, right? I mean, if you just go on at least, you know, let's say you go on 10 appointments, you should be able to get, if you're even decent at all, at least 5 of those listings. All right, so expireds, FSBOs, Makes Me Move. They're huge. Here you go. #1 lead source for sellers on the planet. There it is, leadslikecandy.com. This one cracks me up. You know why? Because it's so freaking easy and so many agents screw it up entirely. Why do they screw it up? Because they just don't give it the attention it needs. They do it wrong. They call these people up and they say, hey, I'm a real estate agent. I'd like to come see your house. And people hang up on them because 20 other real estate agents just called them. Well, you know what? There's a way that you handle these leads. And I will tell you, that when it comes to ROI, that's return on investment, the people that use this particular lead source absolutely get between a 9 and a 25 ROI. That is insane. Good ROI is 3. Or I should say acceptable ROI is 3. Good ROI is 4 or 5. Great ROI is anything over 5. And this lead source, leadslikecandy.com, is literally bringing many of our clients between 9 and 25 ROI. It's insane. We actually had a client that got 179 ROI on this. That's a whole other story. But it was insane. So that being said, leadslikecandy.com, it's a great seller lead source. In fact, the best ever. In fact, I was on leadslikecandy.com. I was literally listing between 8 and 30 homes a month myself when I was actively out going on listing appointments. So it's a great lead source. All right, referral-based lead source providers. Referral-based lead source providers are awesome in the download. So right now you guys are watching this on a webinar. You might be watching this video on our website. Maybe you're watching it on YouTube. And by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you click the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. But here's what I want you to do. If you're on our website, if you're at clubwealth.com and you've gone to /blog, and you've watched this on there, so all you got to do is search for the why 87% of real estate agents fail, then there will be a download button on that page. You'll be able to download a checklist. And there's a couple of things you're going to get. You're going to get a checklist of all the stuff I'm talking about here today, which is going to be super helpful. But you're also going to get a list of these referral fee-based lead source providers. What does that mean? What's a referral fee-based lead source provider? That means that they will send me leads, and I don't have to pay anything until I actually close a transaction. And let me tell you something. It doesn't get any better than that. It's very simple, and it's going to be and now let me back up. I don't want you to think that you're going to get 3,000 leads a month from every one of these. Heck, if you get 5 leads a year from some of these, yeah, that's great. Because if you've got 10 or 20 of these and each one of them sends you 1, 2, 10 leads a year, man, that's a lot of leads at the end of the year. That's an awful lot of business you can do. And it's, let me tell you, this list, if all you get out of this, watching this video today, if all you get is that you download that list of referral fee-based lead source providers, let me tell you something. That's money in the bank. You got to do it. All right, here we go. Lead follow-up. This is the second of the 3 things that you have to do every single day, no matter what, or you're going to be a part of the 87%. What does my lead follow-up need to look like? 1, I got to have my speed to leads got to be right. What should my speed to lead be? You get 30 seconds, you guys. 30 seconds. It used to be people said, oh, I can call lead back same day, or I can call lead back in an hour or in 5 minutes or whatever, and I'll be fine. Heck no. We did a test in Jesse Zagorski's office. Jesse's another one of our clients in San Diego, California. And no, not all of our clients in San Diego. We have them all over the country. I just like to talk about people from San Diego because they live a better life than I do, I guess, because they get the sun, and, well, I live in Seattle. I don't know. Figure it out. So anyway, check it out. So Jesse, we do a little test in Jesse's office with his ISA. That's an inside sales agent. Benson. So Benson made a bunch of calls, and he was very, very good at calling people back right away. So when a lead would come in, he would literally just hit send on his phone before he even looked up the lead. So he hits send on his phone. He gets them on the phone almost every time within 30 seconds. And here's what we were testing. We wanted to find out how many other real estate agents were calling in the first 30 seconds. You know what we found out? It was insane. We had literally 4 to 5 additional agents during the first 5 minutes of that phone call would be calling that seller as well. So how aggressive do you need to be with the process? You need to be extremely aggressive, and you need to contact every one of your online leads within 30 seconds. This is very important. All right, there's no excuse for anything longer than 30 seconds. Now, how do I contact them? This is also very important. I want you to use what we call a land, air, and sea approach. This is very, very important. So what that means is you're going to call, you're going to text, you're going to video text, and you're going to email these people. All of these are very important. What we have found, this is an interesting statistic, by the way, is that we get 50% better contact rate with video text than we do with phone calls. 50%. So if I get 10 responses when I make a phone call, I will get 15 responses when I do a video text. You guys, use video text, and it doesn't have to be complicated. All you do is you take your phone. It's super easy. Tammy's asked me, well, how do I do that? This is a great one. And you know what? I get this question a lot, Tammy. What you do is you literally just take your phone, whether it's an iPhone, which I like to tease my iPhone using friends. I got one sitting across from me right now. They make great book, paperweights and doorstops. I'm just joking. They're great. But what you do is you take your iPhone, and when you're in your messaging platform on your iPhone, there's a button there that says you want to add a video, and you can just record a video right there. Android does the same thing. You hit the plus button, and you don't need anything crazy. You don't need to go with, and I see somebody typing in, well, what about BombBomb? Can I go with BombBomb? BombBomb's great. Don't get me wrong. Nothing bad to say about BombBomb, but no, you don't need it. You don't need another freaking shiny object. You don't need to spend any more freaking money. You have a phone. It has the ability to send a video text. Freaking use it. It's seriously that simple. I mean, come on. I love you guys. I want you to make money. I don't want you just to spend all your money. I want you to keep more of what you make. So just take the phone that you have and send a simple video text. Now, I'll take this a step further if I were you. Bettina's like, all righty then. I love it. So what I would recommend, Bettina, is literally, I want you to go in a room with no natural light. And the reason you don't want natural light is because they'll be able to tell what time of day you did the video. And so what I want you to do is create a generic video of you responding to a lead and act like you're talking to somebody so it doesn't sound canned and it doesn't sound like it's a mass message. So you're going to take that message now, and what you're going to do is simply say, hey, it's Bettina, and oh, by the way, I saw that you were calling. You just something very generic, and then just that way you've got that video in there all the time. And so when a new lead comes in, all you've got to do is send that video, send that video, send that video. Super, super easy. All right, we're going to keep moving forward. This is great, you guys. We're running out of time though, and I want to make sure I cover all this for you. Tenacity. This is super huge. You need to be very tenacious about your follow-up, you guys. Here's what I mean by tenacity. I want you to call 3 times a day for the first 3 days, 3 times a week for the next 3 weeks, and 3 times a month for the next 3 months. I know that sounds crazy, and some of you are thinking, okay, Michael's officially lost it. Look, that happened a long time ago. So here's the deal. If you don't follow up with this tenacity, you're going to miss out. What we have found is that the average client is responding now on the 17th contact attempt. 17 attempts before they even respond. We had a client just recently. I can't say it was another Southern California, it was another San Diego agent. For whatever reason, we have a ton of agents down in San Diego. But he literally contacted this homeowner 29 times before, and so by phone, he called 29 times and he sent 19 text messages before she actually responded to him. Then he literally had to do another 17 phone calls and 14 text messages before she finally had him over for the appointment. Well, guess what? When she did, he got the $800,000 listing. Was it worth it? Heck yes, it was worth it. You got to be tenacious. All right, here we go. What do I say when I'm following up? A lot of people are wondering, well, I don't even know what to say. Well, here's what you don't say. Let's start with that. Don't call them up and say, well, are you ready to buy or sell yet? I mean, seriously, that just sounds like a goofball salesperson. Don't go in there like all up in their salesperson radar. What you need to do is you need to come in and you need to say something like, I just want to make sure I'm not dropping the ball on my end. Let me tell you, this is the golden script. If you will use that script, I 1,000% promise you, you will convert more leads to appointments than ever before. It's as simple as saying, I just want to make sure I'm not dropping the ball on my end. Now, that also helps you transition from salesperson to servant, right? I mean, think about this. When I say, I just want to make sure I'm not dropping the ball on my end, their response is, I got Natasha sitting across from me here, right? So when they say something like that, Natasha's response is probably going to be something like, well, gosh, Michael, no, it's not you, it's me. You're doing a great job on follow-up. I appreciate it. And it's kind of like that girl in high school, right, you guys? Where she says, it's not you, it's me. That's almost always what these guys say. So think about that. Now it makes you a servant and not a salesperson. So they trust you. They want to do business with you. They like you at this point. Now you've gone the extra mile to help them instead of trying to sell them something. All right. That's huge. Now, closing for the appointment. How do I close for the appointment? I want to use an alternative choice close on this. All right, I followed up, followed up, followed up. Now I'm going to say something like, would Wednesday or Thursday at 5 be better for you to, meet me to see that house, or for me to come over and take a look at that house? But I'm going to use that alternative choice close. This is part of NLP. And by the way, we do a lot of NLP in Club Wealth, and I would recommend that if you haven't done so already, you get yourself signed up for an upcoming NLP class. Because neurolinguistic programming works, and if you can learn that, you won't need more leads. Because what happens is you start converting better on the ones you have. So instead of converting at 5%, now maybe you're converting at 7% or whatever, and all of a sudden you're making a ton more money without any more leads or any more time, because it's seriously the best thing you can do is improve your skill set. So there you go. So I want to use that alternative choice close. Would Wednesday or Thursday at 5 be better for you too? And then whatever you're trying to get them to do. All right. Lead conversion. Here we go. We're almost done. We're in the home stretch, you guys. All right, here we go. So leads are like a blind date. Hold on. Where do I find those? Jay's asking, where do I find those referral-based lead providers? You can get those on when we get done with this webinar. We're going to be posting this on our website. This video will be on our website in a blog. It's going to take a couple days to get it up there. And in that blog post, it'll be the 87 ways that why 87% of agents fail in real estate. Once that blog post is up there, there will be that download will be right on that page. So you just go to the page and download it. So take a look at that in about sometime next week. And yes, next week we'll have that replay. So leads are like a blind date. I want you guys to think about this. And I'll use Natasha as an example. So I'm sure you've been on a blind date at some point in your life. You've been on a blind date, right? Guy shows up to the front door, right? So ladies, I want you to picture this in your mind. You're standing, you open the door, guy shows up, and the first thing he does is he goes for a big sloppy wet kiss. Really? Is that like what would you do? You'd punch him out, right? Natasha would punch the guy out, right? Seriously, I know Natasha, that guy's not making it home in one piece, all right? So think about this. This is what you guys are doing in your marketing. I kid you not. This is what you're doing. You're trying to make out with people when you get to the front door for the date. What you need to do is develop a relationship first. This is a huge problem for most real estate agents in this business. Let me give you an example of what I mean by this. The typical buyer lead call. What happens? First thing you do is you get them on the phone, and you want to get them pre-qualified, right? No, that's trying to make out with them. Stop it. They're not ready for that yet. The first thing you need to do is you need to give them what they want. You need to buy them dinner, take them to a movie, do something fun, right? But don't go trying to make out with them yet, guys. Oh my gosh, don't be that guy. So what do you need to do? Once you've given them what they want, then you can close for the appointment. After you've got the appointment, then and only then can you say something like, Bettina's like, what's wrong with that? Let me tell you, Bettina, maybe you like those kind of dates. Most people don't. I don't know. But check it out. Once you've got the appointment, you've earned the right to say something like, hey, if they could save you a couple $100 on your mortgage payment, would you be interested in chatting with one of our lenders? So now I'm just asking if they would be interested in, do you want me to do this favor for you and introduce you? If you don't, it's no big deal. But if you want me to do the favor, I'll do the favor for you. I'll introduce you to them. And all of a sudden, guess what? They're going to want to do it almost every time. I'd say 98% of the time. They're going to say, well, sure, if they can save me a couple $100 a month on my mortgage payment, I'd love to talk with your lender. Fantastic, okay? Mission accomplished. But I only get to do that after I've earned the right to do that, and I earned the right to do that by giving them what they want. On a typical seller lead call, what happens is there's coaches out there, and I don't want to throw anybody into the bus because I don't want to get them upset with me, but y'all know who I'm talking about. There are coaches out there that will literally say, unless somebody's an 8, 9, or 10 on the motivation scale, and they are very seriously considering using you as their listing agent, don't bother going on the listing appointment. That is terrible advice. That is horrible advice. Listen, not to be arrogant, but you guys know you could take any 5 agents from that organization, and it's the oldest coaching company in real estate right now, the biggest, oldest coaching company in real estate right now. And I got to tell you, you could take any 5 of their producers, and they've never listed as many homes as I have. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way. I'm just saying it's not because I'm better. It's because the system is better. And what I'm saying is follow the system. Listen, if you have a pulse and you've got a house that you're considering selling, I'm going to come over and I'm going to be Jerry freaking Maguire in your living room. I'm coming out and we're gonna talk. I'm gonna help you or help me help you or whatever, right? You got to get out there. So I can't show you the money if I can't get face to face with you. So that's the key. You got to get face-to-face with them. All right. So you got to know your goal. Your goal is to get the appointment. That's it. That's all you want to do at this point is set that appointment. Everything else is superfluous to that. Everything else is ancillary. Everything else comes later. Right now, get the freaking appointment. All right, here we go. We're almost there. We're in the final stretch here. Converting at the appointment. One of the things you got to do, let's say I'm on a buyer appointment. I want to ask them closing questions. How many buyer's agents out there are not asking closing questions? You guys, if you show somebody a house, you take the time to show them a house, you better ask a closing question when it's over. You need to be darn sure that there's no way you can get them to write an offer on this house. So ask them something like, at what price would this be a great deal for you? Everybody's got a price, right? I mean, is it $5? If it's a piece of junk house, maybe you'd buy it for $5 and just rent it out. At what price would it be a great deal for you? Have the conversation with them. Don't let them slip through your fingers. How about this? Which of the homes we've seen today would you like to make an offer on? Again, you can use these. There's all kinds of others. I'm just giving you a couple examples today. What I'm trying to illustrate here, though, is that you must convert at the appointment by asking closing questions. And most agents, I would say better than 95% of the agents out there, don't ask closing questions when they show homes. I had a couple of guys on my team. They were actually listing agents, but even when they were working with buyers, they were awesome. Matthew and David were just phenomenal. And here's one of the questions they always liked to ask, and always cracked me up. They'd say something like, when would now be a great time to make an offer on this one? So they would do this all the time. Anytime they wanted something out of me, they'd come up to me. They'd be like, so Michael, when would now be a good time to give me a raise? Whatever, dude. But you know what? It works. People laugh. They get it. They're like, oh, okay, that's funny. And at least you get them talking about making that offer. All right, here we go. Next, sellers and buyers. You want the best closing question ever? Listen, if all you get out of this particular webinar is this one thing right here, if all you get is this one thing, this will change your career. And let me tell you, if all you do is implement this one thing, you will absolutely begin closing. You can do this on buyer appointments. You can use it on seller appointments. It works everywhere. I've used it on thousands, literally thousands of listing appointments, and it works very well. Here it is. You ready for it? Are there any other questions before we get started on the paperwork? And while you're saying it, you're shaking your head back and forth as if to say no. Are there any other questions before we get started on the paperwork? You guys, this is the best closing question ever, and it plain works. Start using it. I promise you it will get you better results than you're getting right now. All right, now here's what I want you to do. I want you to remember to go to the website, go to clubwealth.com, and I want you to download the free checklist and the list of referral-based lead source providers where you don't have to pay anything up front. You literally can just get them to send you referrals, and when and if you close a transaction, then and only do you ever pay for it. So download that from our website at clubwealth.com. Now, what we're going to do next is I'm going to answer some of your questions. So for those of you that need to go, this is fine. You can run, but make sure you go to the website, clubwealth.com, and register on that website by downloading anything. Once you've downloaded something on there, we will be able to send you a note via email that says, hey, that checklist is available now. Please go download it. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close out of this. Bear with me. We're going to stop sharing my screen, and we're going to see if I can get my camera to work. Let's see if this is going to work. Check it out. Can you guys see me now? Some of you are like, seriously, Michael, could you just put the PowerPoint back up? That would be awesome if you could just do that. No? Some of you are, what's that? What do we got here? Yep. Nice. I love it. That's funny. Okay, you guys are giving me a hard time. That's great. That's okay. I'm used to it. All right, so check it out. What I want you to do is just go ahead and ask your questions right now. Which books can you recommend on affirmations? You know, Alex, that's a good question. And honestly, I would start with Shad Helmstetter wrote a series, and actually it's not a book series. It's an audio series. It's called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. It's a great series, and it's literally just him repeating these affirmations because for a lot of us, we don't have the time to write, to record these and so forth. But it's a great series. Now, I'll tell you one of the things that we are in the process of putting together. And I say we, looking at Natasha, Natasha's working on it, but she's got a workload like this. We're going to actually create audios for those of you. And by the way, if you would be interested in this, I want to know how many of you would like this. If we created a podcast where it was like 2-minute podcasts, like just little MP3s or that you could literally just download, and it would have powerful affirmations repeated over and over and over again that you could literally hit play on as you're going to bed or as you're driving down the road or as you're coming up to an appointment. If you would like that, write affirmations podcast, please. If you write affirmations podcast, please, if you type that in, then I will make sure that Natasha reaches out to you when it's ready. I love throwing her under the bus. I'll make sure that she reaches out to you when it's ready, and we'll get that sent out to you. Oh, look at this. So like everybody's putting that in. Yeah, oh my gosh, they love it. It's a great idea. So that's awesome. So yeah, way to go, Natasha. You're going to be working this weekend, it looks like. I love it. So let's see. What else we got? Loved your stuff on the listing summit with Andre. Thank you, Bettina. Andre is a stud, man. He put together a great listing summit. He had a lot of great speakers. I was really impressed with what Andre put together. Good guy to know. Rich Phillips, absolutely. I will definitely get that to you. Where are we at here? Can we elaborate on on how joining a team brings income? Oh, Frederica, that's a great question. So here's the deal. Teams are the bomb diggity. Period. End of story. Teams are the bomb diggity. Why? Because they have all the freaking money, right? They've got huge bandwidth. They can go into a market and they can say, hey, you know what? I want all the Zillow leads in this market. And Zillow's going to say, well, that's great, but, you know, we've got an 18-person waiting list and yada, yada, yada. And the team, especially if this is an expansion team coming in from another area, the expansion team leader can say, well, you remember that $500,000 I spent with you last year? How about you move me up on your wait list a little bit? And guess what they're going to say? Money talks and that other stuff walks, right? So yeah, go ahead. We'll put you at the top of the list. Here's your leads. It happens all the time. They always take care of the agents that are spending the most money with them. They actually have sales reps at Zillow and Realtor.com that only deal with the mega agents. And guess what? They get better pricing. They get better leads. So that's one way. But another way is not only does a team provide you with leads, but the team also provides you with back-end support. They provide you with transaction coordination. They provide you with accountability, which let's call it what it is, folks. We all need accountability at some level. And it helps. And we're not talking about, thumb down on you kind of accountability. No, what we're talking about is, positive accountability, positively being persistent, in a pleasant manner, in a way that helps you do more. So teams are huge. I could go on and on and on and on and on and on about why teams are huge. But I will tell you that you really do want to either be on a team or be creating a team. It's going to be very hard in the next 5 years to be a real estate agent that's not a part of a team at some level. And by the way, consumers prefer dealing with teams. They want to know that there's a team of people, particularly millennials. Millennials, the studies have shown that millennials in particular really want to be working with teams. So make sure that you're either on a team or we're creating one. So let's go to great stuff on the blog section to download. Thank you for that. Super excited to implement. And you know what? There's a ton. You're right about that. There's a ton of great free information in our blogs. And I kid you not, guys, we're giving away stuff that most coaching companies charge lots and lots of money for. Now, here's what I would ask. If I could ask you guys a favor, could you do me a favor, please? I'll be honest, we run on very thin margins. Club Wealth is not this uber, profitable organization. This is kind of my way of giving back to an industry that's treated me very, very well over the last 20 years. And all of our coaches are kind of in that same boat. They're very successful agents, and they coach because they want to give back. The favor that I would ask of you is share this. Share this blog on, if you're watching the blog, if you're on the blog, share the link on your social media. Wherever you are, share this with people so that they can see it, and tell people about Club Wealth. We'd love to help them. And don't forget to join the Club Wealth Real Estate Agent Mastermind group on Facebook. All right, so let's go to some more questions. What NLP training do you recommend? Clinton, that's a great question, and I would say the Club Wealth NLP training. So we actually have a 16-week class coming out, and I don't remember when the next one is, but I would tell you that you want to be a part of that class. And it's not going to be free, I'll be honest, and the reason it's not going to be free is because NLP is for real. And we have two different versions of this class. Well, actually, there's three. So when I come out, sometimes I do these half-day events, and for those of you that have larger brokerages or are part of a larger brokerage and you feel like you and your broker together could put at least 50 to 100 people in a room, oftentimes we can make arrangements to come out and teach sales skills to your office. We usually do a 3-hour class on that. Another thing that we do is we have a kind of a NLP light course, right? It's another 16-week course. It's going to cost a little bit because you got to have skin in the game, because what we found is NLP is hard. Like, you got to learn it. You got to be committed to the process, and you got to role play to get very, very good at it. And what we found is if you don't have a little bit of skin in the game, you won't do it. So we're not going to charge an arm or leg for it, but there is a little bit of a cost to it. And then once you've gone through the entry-level course and you've gotten good at that, so you've gone through that 16-week course, then it's time to move up and assuming you've graduated the entry-level course, you go up to the higher-level course. That's another 16-week course. And let me tell you, by the end of all that, if your conversion isn't double what it is today, something's wrong. You should be converting at least double what you're doing today. All right, tell people how to overcome the fear of just getting out there and approaching people. Fear is crazy. Man, that is a great point. You are absolutely right about that. And people are afraid. It's insane to me how many people suffer from call reluctance. We had one of our clients recently, not one of our clients, one of our former clients recently. And I say former clients because this is an example of why, if somebody's not going to succeed with Club Wealth, this would be why. Because they won't pick up the phone. They won't take action. The ones that do take action, they're doubling and tripling their income year over year, virtually all of them. And so this particular gal just wouldn't pick up the phone. She was in a call center with her company, and everybody's in there, and they were all dialing. They had the dialers going, and people were setting appointments like crazy. And her team leader looked at her and said, "There's the phone. Jump on it." "Oh, no, I can't do that. I can't do it. Look, you got to do it. You got to get voice to voice and face to face with people as quickly as possible. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to start with pick up the phone and call somebody that you already know, like, and trust. Somebody that's in your sphere of influence, somebody that you have great rapport with. Call your freaking mother if that's what it takes, but pick up the freaking phone and call somebody. You need to start calling people and get used to dialing that phone and having a conversation with somebody on the other line. Once you've done a few of those, then go to a little bit colder, right? So maybe a friend that you haven't talked to in a while. Once you've done that, then go to a client that you really like, and then go to a client that you haven't talked to in a while, and then start going to the other types and the harder types of leads. But get yourself in the habit of every single day you're making calls. And I'll tell you, when I was literally listing and selling over 100 homes a month, and I was making over $450,000 a month. Guess what I was doing? I made 115 to 125 follow-up calls. I didn't have to make lead calls anymore because I had all these inbound leads coming in, but I made 115 to 125 follow-up calls per day in my car in between appointments. So I would say you got to find a way to get over it, or you're going to be part of that 87%. And what do I want to be? I want to be in the 13%. I want to be in that 13% of agents that are going to make it in the next 5 years. All right, so let's keep going on. Thank you, Michael. One more question. Is it fair to say that you had humble beginnings? You mean like rolling pennies for gas broke, like searching through the couch to see if there's any money in there so I can make it to McDonald's for a little cheeseburger, for a little dollar menu item? Yeah, been there, done that. So yeah, my folks divorced when I was 12 years old, and again, love my folks, good people, hard workers. My dad was a ticket agent for United Airlines for 34 years, hated every day of it, but that was my dad's career, so he never made a lot of money. My mom put wallpaper up for a living. She worked for a company called Wallpapers to Go, or Wallpaper to Go. I can't remember what it's called, something like that. And she literally would go put up wallpaper, and so she didn't make a lot of money. And yet we lived in the dumpiest house in a decent neighborhood that was what they thought in a good school district for the area. My wife would tell you it was the ghetto, but long story short, yes, I started out with nothing, and I didn't have any money when I got into this business, and most people don't. And that's okay. You don't need a lot of money to get started in this business. What you need is a lot of drive. You need a lot of want to. You need a lot of will do. And if you've got enough want to and will do, then you can do just fine in this business, no matter what anybody else tells you. All right. So what's the single most important piece of advice you have for someone who's new to real estate? Derek asked this question, and he's a buyer's agent. And Derek, that's a great question. And here's I think that the single best piece of advice I can give you is freaking do it. Get out there and get doing it, man. You got to get aggressive with the process. Never with people, but always aggressive with the process. And if you'll do that, you'll be amazed at how well you'll do in this business. And then let's see. Yeah, I think that's it. So I've got several more questions here, but we're running late. Okay, so here's what I want you to do, you guys. I want you to take action. Make sure you get out there and you take action right now. Do yourself a favor. download the checklist from our website, join the Club Wealth Facebook group, and if you haven't done so already, if you haven't availed yourself of this, I want you to reach out to our office, and I want you to schedule what we call a strategy session. It doesn't cost you anything. It's not a big pitch for coaching. And it's not, it's not some high pressure sales pitch or anything like that. It's literally, it's not with a salesperson. It's with one of our coaches. And what our coach will do is they're going to sit down with you, and this person is going to be somebody who's produced at a higher level than you have. And they're going to sit down with you, and they're going to find out where you're at in your business today, what's working, what's not working, and where you'd like to be. And they're going to give you some advice. They're going to say, hey, here's some things that I think you ought to be doing. And if you'll do this, this, and this over the next 12 months, I think it'll make a big difference for you. So I would highly recommend taking your advantage of that. And outside of that, start programming your brain with positive things every single day. You guys, you've been fantastic. I appreciate all the great questions you've asked. And whether you're watching this on YouTube or on our blog or on the webinar, thank you guys very, very much for being here. And again, please make sure you join the Club Wealth Facebook Mastermind group and go to our website to download that list of the referral-based lead source providers so that you can start getting some free leads, and you only have to pay when you actually close the transaction. So Michael Hellickson here for Club Wealth Coaching and Consulting, saying once again, you are world class.